Hi there, and welcome back to day 4 of 30 days of business systems and automations. Thank you so much for joining me here. Today, we are going to have a chat through workflow analysis and one or two points about the workflow analysis. So, let's dive straight in. Let's start with what a workflow is. A workflow basically is your method of completing a task or a goal that you have, for example. So you would go through a step by step. So it's similar to a process. It's the way that you are going to complete a task that you have or the way that you are going to complete a goal that you have. What is a workflow analysis? A workflow analysis is basically you acting as an investigator in your business. That is you shining a light on one workflow or all your workflows, shining a light on it, seeing where the bottlenecks are, what is jamming the process, where are the inefficiencies, what do you need to get rid of, what do you need to add. And the goal of doing a workflow analysis is basically to make sure that your business is run like a well-oiled machine, that it's smooth, that it's streamlined, and that it's efficient, because that is basically ultimately what you want. You want efficiency in your processes so that you are not wasting resources and time, especially on things that can be streamlined. So let's jump straight into it. I'm going to take you through 3 points, right? But with those 3 points, I'm going to be using an example of Sarah, who is a restaurant owner. I feel like you will understand workflow analysis so much better if I just use a relatable example. So point number 1, the process of conducting a workflow analysis, right? So Sarah is a restaurant owner and has decided she wants to do this workflow analysis. And so she starts off basically by mapping the process of her customers when they walk in by the door, the entire process that happens by the time that they leave, right? So she maps that out. I mean, in a practical example, you could use pen and paper. You could map it out digitally if that is your preference. But she maps out from point A to point Z what process her customers would go through when they come in by the door. Once she maps that out, she then steps back and observes what, from her perspective, her customers are experiencing. So when she steps back and observes, she notices that her waiters are a little disorganized in the way that they are managing the operations or the floor or customers that come in. She also notices that orders are getting lost between the waiters and the kitchen staff, and that is causing a delay in orders coming out from the kitchen, and customers are getting frustrated, of course, because they're waiting long for their food. So she notices those things. And then aside from that, she also notices that the inventory management is not working out for them, because there is a ton of expired stock that is not being used, and so they are losing money out on in that way. So she's conducted this workflow analysis. She also sits down with her staff or team members. She sits down with them and she has a chat with them. What are they experiencing? Where do they think they can make improvements? And where would they like to see those improvements being implemented? So she takes down their data. She also has a system or a way of being able to monitor how long orders are taking to come from the kitchen to the table. And so she's gathered all of that data, right? So now we move on to point number 2, which is the signs of an inefficient workflow. So now that she's identified those things, she notices that, the gaps are in the order taking, how long it's taking to come out from the kitchen, the inventory management, which needs to be improved on, of course, and then staff members with their disorganization. Okay, so once you have identified your inefficiencies in your workflow, and oftentimes it doesn't have to be something really major. I think sometimes we can inflate a workflow analysis, and we can add more steps within what needs to be added. But it can really be as simple as just observing what your team is doing, or even recording yourself and the way that you go through a process. So now that those inefficiencies are identified, she takes the data, she gathers all the feedback from her staff, the data of the time that orders are taking to come out from the kitchen, and so she examines that data now, right? So once she has that data and she knows where the inefficiencies are, basically the way that she has improved her workflows is that, number one, she does a kitchen reorganization. So she noticed the first time that they were jumping around too much in the kitchen from one station to the next, and there could be a streamline. So she's reorganized the kitchen. She's also introduced a digital system where the waiters no longer jot down the order with pen and paper, but everything is digital, so they capture it on the computer system and it shoots right through to the kitchen. So she has less orders being lost and less miscommunication between the kitchen and the waiters. She also sees a training opportunity for her team members because they are disorganized. They've come in different phases of the restaurant. She notices that, she needs to have more regular training sessions with them. And so she introduces training sessions with her staff to sort of bring everybody up to speed and get everyone on the same page of expectations and so forth. So those are significant improvements that she's made. But the last one that she also does is improving her inventory management system. So there's a typed out list of things that needs to be monitored. The first in, first out method, where basically whatever was bought first needs to be brought to the front and used first as stock in the kitchen, so that things can not expire any longer and therefore cost the business money. So in the workflow analysis, she has identified where the inefficiencies are, and she has made steps to improve on those inefficiencies in the workflow process. Eventually, some of the return on her workflow analysis will be quick turnaround results. That's the word I'm looking for. Quick turnaround results. So she'll have happier customers. She'll hopefully have busier dinner times or lunch times. The tables get turned quicker, and so because she's busier, she'll bring in more revenue into a business and is able to also have that stable income as well. So there is a ton of benefits in doing a workflow analysis. We all have a workflow. You might not even realize it, but you have a workflow in the things that you do. So it's important to do a workflow analysis every couple of months, or however often you feel you want to do the analysis, to make sure that you are still being efficient in your processes and that your team is still working as efficiently and as smoothly as possible. So thank you so much for joining me. For those that are watching the replay, thank you so much for watching the replay. If you have any comments or any questions, you're welcome to comment down below, or you can send me a message. If this is on Instagram or Facebook, you're welcome to send me a message, and then we can have a chat further about workflows, workflow analysis, identifying inefficiencies, and the improvements that could happen from that. Thank you so much.